Good day, everyone. This is Asan Mkonazi speaking right here. Um, Today, I would like to present my work for geography. I am a UNISA student. I'm doing BP, BPT1501, assignment 6. And today, I would like to present my water cycle. Well, as you can see on the chart, it's plain. You see, there's not much detail to it, but as we proceed with the video, you're gonna see you're gonna see that it's gonna be interesting, and hopefully it's gonna be fun and easy to understand for viewers, right. As you can see, there's still not much detail to the diagram here, but if you look around closely, there are some words and definitions. There are some arrows, there are some few, well, there's only 2 pictures, okay, 3, that we are going to use to explain the water cycle today. Personally, I chose the water cycle because geography is one of my majors, so knowing the water cycle will play a crucial role in my career. So I've just labeled the graph, but if you look closely, you can see that it's still missing some important important points. For example, if we had to look on the left hand side, if you read closely, it's written, for example, the process where water turns into vapor due to heat, mainly from the sun. You see, like, if you read that, there's no explanation whatsoever. If you see this arrow, there's no explanation. Condensation, there's still no explanation. But my plan here today is to make that topic a bit interesting. The way I see it is that if I were to teach students that were not familiar with water cycle, this is the way I would teach them as beginners or new people to the concept or topic of water cycle. But let us proceed with the lesson. So my plan here today is to match words with definitions. 1, 2, make sure that the process is in order and understandable. 3, that maybe it'll be easy to grasp, and with all of this, the information and the pictures, it'll make it more memorable and easy to revise. But let us proceed. Right. Obviously, in the water cycle, there's no starting point and an ending point. But for my presentation, I would like to start with evaporation, because the way I was taught growing up, we usually started with the evaporation, you see. So if you look on the left hand side, it's written the process where water turns into vapor due to heat, mainly from the sun. You're gonna have to take a look around this diagram and just look at the words. So you have to find the matching words, you see, that go along with the definitions. So you're going to take evaporation and plot evaporation right there. You see, now that process is evaporation. 2, the arrow, well, if you look here, the next process is 2, but there's no arrow. The other process, and then the 4th one, which is in like full detail. So all of these arrows by the end of the cycle should have a number and an arrow indicating the whole cycle. You see? So we're gonna look here, maybe take this one for evaporation, if you get the idea. But yeah, that's evaporation, guys. And then we are gonna proceed to condensation. Condensation, we're gonna have to look for the definition. Yes, we're gonna have to look for the definition. All right, so the definition obviously is gonna have to be this one. Right, water vapor cools as it rises, forming tiny droplets that gather to create clouds. Obviously, there are some clouds here. See, the clouds are being formed. Then you can have a look and see what's missing for number 2. And you can take the arrow, plot it here. All of this I'm doing, for example, the arrow, it's just making it a bit more fun, you know. And then we're gonna move on to the process of precipitation, right? Well, there is precipitation. There's clouds. Not sure if you can see, but this is rainfall, right? So obviously, I'm not gonna tell the student that this is the rainfall. I was just gonna say, this is precipitation. So obviously, many wouldn't know what are the different types of precipitation, right? So we're gonna have to just look, look at the words, look at the definitions, find the one that mentions precipitation, and that would be this one. Just falls under here. Precipitation can involve rainfall, snow, hail, and etc. Right? Yeah, that's it for precipitation. And then we move on to also another definition we could just take to make it more easier to understand. It is when clouds become heavy with water droplets, they fall back to earth in different forms, right? Just like I've said, precipitation is when water droplets, whether it could be a solid, for example, ice, hailstone, it's just precipitation, something that falls out of the clouds. Yeah, which is solid, basically, in solid form. In this case, it could be water droplets, but yeah, let us proceed to infiltration, right? My bad, I've said the word, but if you read here, in a perspective of someone who doesn't understand, it's not really explaining anything here. If you read it, saying the process where water soaks into the ground, replenishing underground water resources. Obviously, we're still looking for the word, you're just gonna have to look around and see which word. Well, in this case, I've already said the word by mistake, but if I didn't say it, you're gonna have to guess and then, or maybe try your luck, and then plot in infiltration right here. Yeah, and then this is the third arrow. It's pretty much simple. You can just plot the 3 here, and then pretty much the arrows are done, because the 4, I did it just to make it a bit understandable. But yeah, right. After infiltration, we go to transpiration. Now, I understand, guys, that obviously some people are having maybe their own ideas, like the water cycle doesn't go in this order. But to be quite honest, there are many different orders that the water cycle can go by. For example, like I've said, there's no ending, there's no beginning of the water cycle. So you can even start with rainfall, you can even start with condensation, it really doesn't end, it really doesn't stop. So for this point, I mean, probably you would say there are some other processes like percolation that should be included. The reason why I didn't want to include more detail into it is because I'm specifically doing this water cycle for the senior phase, and we all know that the senior phase is for grades between grade 7 to 9, meaning that obviously things must be a bit easy to grasp. If you put in a lot of wording and definition, it'll just make the children or students a bit confused. Let's just keep it simple and move on. Right, so we go into transpiration. Transpiration right here, and then you're gonna have to look for the definition. Right, look for the definition that suits transpiration. But for this case, it'll be this definition. Plot it. Maybe we could just plot it right here above transpiration. The reason why I have obviously these plants is because plants absorb water from soil and release it as vapor into atmosphere through their leaves. So in this case, this is a tree. This is a stem, or the branch, but it's gonna absorb the water from the ground into the leaves, and then the water is gonna be absorbed by the sun. You see, so it's basically water absorbed from plants. That is transpiration. The next step would be runoff, which is right here. Right, I mean, it's not even explaining anything, but if you look around and just look for the definition and just match it and take the definition that makes that is relevant. So excess, for me, obviously it's this one: excess water that doesn't soak into ground. The next process would be storage, but to be more fair on the process, I'd just like to explain that storage could occur at any point. It could be in the clouds, it could be in the streams, it could be in the ground like soil. But right now we're on storage of water. Now storage of water, if you have to look, it will be this. Now my bad, it's just that I didn't show it being taken from here, but it was one of the options on the side, so it's gonna be put right there just to make everything make sense. And then if you look closely, this is groundwater. This is groundwater, and if you read above, it says underground water slowly moves and eventually emerges from springs or flows into rivers and oceans, helping sustain water bodies. So we gotta, right here we have the definition but not the wording. So I mean, there's only a few options left, so it's this one: groundwater discharge. See, and then last but not least, just to sum it up and explain, this is just something I had on the side. Each of these processes ensure that water is constantly moving and being recycled through the earth. Nature's way of keeping things flowing, you see. And just for general knowledge, like, the water cycle has been happening for millions and millions of years. Same water has been recycled, same water has been used. It's been through streams, underground water, being stored, being evaporated. It's just a never-ending cycle. That's just the way it is. Water has traveled from different parts of the world, different oceans. it's just an endless cycle. But I would I really enjoyed doing this project overall. But honestly speaking, it was just hard to come up with this, because other students just came up with more brilliant ideas, to be honest. So I'm kind of feeling overwhelmed, but I hopefully it's gonna be worth it. But this is just the full depiction, or the full image of how the water cycle works. I'm sure right now, compared to the beginning, it's making more sense. I mean, with all the clouds included, the arrows, the numbering, the pictures, now you can use this to study and learn, and you can even use this into your reality. If you go outside and just go, maybe on a cloudy day where there's rain and maybe the sun, you could see the process. Well, not evaporation and condensation, but in terms of precipitation, you could see runoff maybe nearby banks. You can see infiltration around your house where water is soaked into ground, things like that. Precipitation you can have. Well, I'm from Pietermaritzburg, in this near the CPD, and it hardly snows, so we have rain. We usually have hail. So yeah, it's just a concept that is used in reality, and most probably for the rest of your life, which is why I've just chosen it. Because if children are able to grasp this at an early stage, then from the senior phase, you see, probably they're going to be able to use it for the rest of their lives, or until they matriculate. They'll always have this type of image that resonates with them, making it more easier to remember. So I really enjoyed sharing this project and doing it, but it was a bit hard. I just hope it's all worth it at the end. So thank you